Hi, I'm Christiana Gaudet. I am so excited to be your mentor of the month, and I'm really happy to be here to speak with you about magic and divination for Ostara. Now, true confessions, divination really is my thing. I have been a full-time professional tarot reader for like 25 years now, and I've been working with tarot for, probably 35 years. I have also been a practicing pagan for about that length of time. And I will tell you that in my own practice, I'm very eclectic. In my own practice, tarot is really the underpinning of a lot of what I do. I incorporate tarot in pretty much every ritual I lead. So today we're going to talk about what Ostara is, how it is sometimes celebrated, how you might celebrate it, and some ways to use the themes of Ostara in your divination, and the things that we can learn from Ostara and from tarot cards that particularly represent those themes. You ready? Let's do this. Okay, so Ostara this year is going to be Saturday, March 20th. The exact time, I believe, here, let me see if I can find this. Yes. Okay, so it's in the Northern Hemisphere. It will be at 5:37 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, March 20th. Now, do you have to celebrate it on the exact time? No, you don't. You don't even have to celebrate it on the exact day. But it is important to recognize that it is Northern Hemisphere. And so if you happen to be in the Southern Hemisphere, you are not celebrating Ostara, you're celebrating Mabon, but you're still celebrating an equinox. So what is an equinox? An equinox happens twice a year, and it is the time, the moment where the day and the night are of approximately equal length. That's why it's called an equinox. So for this one moment, there is balance between light and dark. At the vernal equinox, which is Ostara, it is the last time, the day before would be the last time that the night is longer than the day. So if you think about it, starting in December with the winter solstice, every day it's like minute by minute, literally, every day a minute more. There's a minute more daylight and a minute less nighttime. Then you get to the vernal equinox, Ostara, and day and night are of equal length. And then proceeding from Ostara to the summer solstice, minute by minute, the day gets longer and the night gets shorter until you get to Litha, the summer solstice, which is the longest day and the shortest night. So we celebrate the wheel of the year. And really what we're celebrating is the equinoxes, the solstices, and the cross-quarter days between them. So there are 8 holidays on the wheel of the year, and the holiday that we celebrate in March is Ostara, the vernal equinox. Now, you may hear that the word Ostara sounds very similar to Easter, the Christian holiday that we celebrate at this time, and there's a reason for that. That's because, at Easter time, Christians are celebrating the resurrection of Christ. So what they did was they superimposed that holiday onto the holiday that was already being celebrated as the first day of spring. Now, why would they do that? Well, they would do that because the theme is resurrection. And what's happening in the spring? The earth is being resurrected. This is the holiday of renewal, rejuvenation, and rebirth. We are literally celebrating the spring. Now, everybody celebrates the spring, right? You know, if you happen to live in a place where it's cold and icy and rainy and snowy, of course you celebrate the coming spring. And even if you live in a place that has nice weather all the time, like I do in Florida, we still look to spring as the time of the returning light because it's really great to have daylight through 9 o'clock at night, right? So even though we don't have to deal with snow, we are still celebrating the returning light. Now we remember that all of these Wheel of the Year celebrations were originally celebrated by an agrarian society. And so the idea of the beginning of spring would be the beginning of the planting season. There would be more food. We would be getting ready to create the food that would feed us for the whole year. And so what are we doing? We're planting seeds. Eggs are hatching. And if you think about it, those are the themes of Easter celebrations. You can look behind me and you can see a cauldron in which I have a bunch of those plastic Easter eggs, except I call them Ostara eggs. And I'm going to show you a really fun way to use those in a group ritual for Ostara. But now I'm getting ahead of myself. So what do we know now? We know that this year Ostara will be Saturday, March 20th. We know that Ostara is the first day of spring and the vernal equinox, and that it happens in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, again, you'll be celebrating Ostara 6 months from now. We know that the Christian holiday Easter is named after Ostara and was superimposed on the calendar at this time of year because we are all celebrating rejuvenation and renewal. But there's something else that we celebrate at Ostara too, and that is this theme of balance. The idea that when day and night are of equal length, you know, that one moment, it only happens twice a year and it only happens for a moment. There is an energy of balance that permeates everything. And we all want balance, don't we? You know, like we're always talking about balance, needing to balance our diets, needing to balance our bank accounts, our budgets, needing to live a more balanced life. And so the energy of Ostara naturally helps us find balance. The other aspects of Ostara, as I've already said, are about seed planting, egg hatching. What seeds do you want to plant in your life? What do you want to hatch in your life? This is an energy of renewal, of rejuvenation, and of growing new things. Now, again, the Wheel of the Year is all on this agrarian themed calendar. And you may be a gardener. You may be someone who is really excited to plant a garden. And you can do that in a magical way. As you plant those seeds, you can think about not only literally what you want to grow from those seeds, but metaphorically, what seeds are you planting in your life? Because the thing is, we can use this idea of seed planting in the spring and harvest in the fall as metaphors for our life. Right now, in the springtime, as we approach Ostara, the first day of spring, we're going to think about, what do I want to hatch? What do I want to plant? What do I want to grow? How do I want to grow? And how can I, myself, be renewed and rejuvenated? So those are the themes that we think about. We think about balance, renewal, and what we want to plant, what we want to grow, what we want to hatch in our lives. So, how do we do that? Well, if you celebrate with a group, there are some traditions. First of all, if you are invited to an Ostara circle, it is always appropriate to bring fresh flowers. Very often, I like to have enough fresh flowers that I can make a circle of flowers on the ground and we can sort of sit within it. Or if the weather's still not that nice and we're celebrating indoors, we're in a circle of chairs, I'll put flowers around the circle. Now, what we might do within the circle would be to consider what it is. What do you want? How do you want to grow something in your life? What would you like to grow? And Ostara is really a perfect time to do divination. You can do divination right within the circle about, what do I want to grow? How can I feel rejuvenated? And what can I do to find balance? Those are really the themes, and those are the things that you can think about in your circle. And you might want to ask everyone to think about it, or do a meditation around it, or do divination around it. Now, let me show you, if I'm working with a group, my favorite Ostara activity is to work with these eggs that you see right here. And what I like to do is take a whole bunch of them, as I have in the cauldron, and I will just dump out the cauldron in the circle so the eggs roll everywhere. And we go on an egg hunt. Now, obviously, the eggs are not hidden. I ask everyone just to pick up a few eggs that are around them as they feel called to do, and then look at what is inside the eggs. Now, sometimes what I like to do is write out and print them out on my computer, different words. What I'm doing really is creating an egg oracle, and you can do this as well. So here, this word is self-care. Other words are dance, family, business, all the different words, again, you're creating an oracle. So different words that you would use for an oracle, put one in each egg. And as people gather eggs, they'll each gather a few different eggs, open them up, and see how they can put those words together to create a message of renewal for themselves. Now, the other thing you can do is you can get like the world's smallest tarot deck. That's literally what it's called. You can get it from US Games. And take those cards and put a card in each egg so people actually get a tarot reading in their eggs. You can take little charms and use charms for divination. So you can have some fun thinking about what you would want to put in your egg oracle in terms of words, cards, charms, or any other thing. Now, you can also work with seeds. And we talked about the idea of literally planting a garden, but you don't even need to do that. You can go and just get, whatever floral seeds, and you can give each person some seeds to hold in their hand and ask them to hold those seeds and really think about what they're planting in their life. Maybe it's better health. Maybe it's a new relationship they want. Maybe they want to develop a new skill. Maybe they want a new job. Maybe they need more money. Think about what you need and ask them to put that energy into those seeds. And then if you're outside, you can just scatter those seeds. And as you do, ask people to visualize those things growing in their lives. You can also literally have like soil in little cups and have them literally plant the seeds and take them home, which is kind of fun. Or you can just have like a cauldron and go around and collect them if you're indoors. But when the seeds are planted or thrown, what you want to be thinking about is, what do you want to grow in your life? Now, let's talk about tarot, because tarot is my favorite thing to talk about. And I think most of us do have some level of divination practice. And if you don't, Ostara would be just the perfect time to begin such a thing, to plant that seed. Now, when we think about the 4 tarot aces, and you might have a deck that is similar to this or that looks very different than this. There are many, many different tarot decks and different tarot images. Use whatever feels good for you. But your tarot deck will have 4 aces. And each ace, of course, represents one of the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And these are actually the tools that we might use to call the four elements in circle, right? Because you might use a sword or an athame or knife to call the element of air. You might use a wand to call the element of fire. You might use a cup or a chalice to call the element of water. And you might use a pentacle to call the element of earth. Now, you could use these aces for any circle you cast. You can use these instead of any other altar tool if you like. But at Ostara, these aces take on a whole new meaning because they themselves are seeds. In tarot, we see aces as the source or essence of its element, but we also see them as the seeds of their element. So it would be great if you were going to call the four elements in your circle to use these four aces and then to take them and to simply shuffle the four aces and to say, what seed do I particularly need to plant this Ostara? At this turn of the wheel, at this sacred time, what seed do I need to plant? And if you're doing it with a group, you can just go around and have, each person pick a card, see it, put it back, shuffle person to person. If you're doing this on your own by yourself, real easy. So what would that mean? If you got, for instance, the Ace of Swords, what is your seed? Well, remember that swords is about the element of air, and air is about the powers of mind. So the seed that you might be planting there would be about education, learning something new. It might be about communication. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you need to get better at communication in a particular relationship. Maybe you wanted to discover the truth about something, and so you need to go on a quest for the truth. That would be the seed that you're planting. Now, what if you got the Ace of Wands, the seed of fire? Well, that could be to delve into your spirituality, your creativity, or anything about which you are passionate. The Ace of Cups could be about the healing of the heart, or manifesting a new relationship, or working on healing a relationship. The Ace of Pentacles might be about starting a new job, starting a business, starting a new way of taking care of yourself. Maybe it's a new exercise program or a new diet. So that is a way of working with the aces in a seed planting exercise. Now you could do it another way too. You don't necessarily have to do it by divination. You can think about, what do I want? What do I want? What do I need? Choose the element, the ace of the element. Suppose you need a new job. You might say, okay, I choose the Ace of Pentacles and I'm going to plant this seed. Hold this card, hold it to your heart, breathe it in, and think about that new job that you want and what that looks like and what that feels like. And plant it in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit, in that sacred space at the time of Ostara. There it is. Okay, so what else can we do with tarot at Ostara? Well, the other thing is about balance, isn't it? One of the most important themes of Ostara, the vernal equinox, is balance and finding balance. And an interesting exercise is to go through your tarot deck and find all the cards that speak to you of balance. There are so many. And that's an interesting thing to think about. Why are there so many cards that speak of balance? Well, maybe because balance is really, really important. So if you were to do that, and here are just a few, there are probably others. Of course, we have the 4 twos. And so you could do a similar thing with the 4 twos as you did with the 4 aces in doing a divination. In what area of my life do I need to find better balance? and simply pull one of the four. You might want to look at all of them and think about how each of these cards speak of balance and bring all of those energies into your life. For example, with the Two of Swords, we welcome the balance of peace of mind. To be able to look within and be at peace with ourselves. That's a kind of balance, isn't it? With the Two of Wands, the balance is about manifestation, looking toward the future and aligning our attention and intention with what we want for the future, and then doing the mundane work to get it. That's a kind of balance. With the Two of Cups, it's about how we balance our relationships. That can be our relationship with ourselves versus our relationship with others. That could be friends versus family. It could be finding the right balance within a love relationship. And with the Two of Pentacles, we're looking at work-life balance. We're looking at balanced diet. We're looking at sedentary time versus exercise time. How we balance our money. And so you might want to do a blessing of balance with all four of these cards. Now, there's lots of other cards that speak of balance too, especially in the major arcana. We have Justice. We have Temperance, my favorite. Strength speaks of a kind of balance, as does the Chariot. Also the Lovers. So you might want to take all the cards that speak of balance, shuffle them, and pull one at random to give you some idea of how to bring better balance into your life. Now, it's also, if you do any kind of yoga, and if you don't, why not? You know, yoga is such a good way of finding healing of body, mind, and spirit. And there are many postures in yoga that are balancing postures. To do a series of balancing postures at Ostara is a very simple way of bringing that energy of balance to body, mind, and spirit. Now, another thing that we sometimes do when we get a group of people together to celebrate Ostara is we might do a reenactment of a myth having to do with Ostara. And one of my favorite myths around Ostara, I like to do this for the vernal equinox and also the autumnal equinox, Mabon, is the story of Persephone. Now, these days, I am doing Zoom rituals with people, and I will actually use tarot to tell the story of Persephone and her mother, Demeter, and how Persephone is out gathering flowers when Aphrodite and her son Cupid decide to play a trick, and Cupid shoots an arrow into the heart of yonder dark lord Hades. He receives the arrow, he sees Persephone, and he falls in love with her and takes her into the underworld. Now, that's a story that I like to tell at the autumnal equinox, because at that point, the mother, Demeter, is so upset that she causes the land to go barren and winter to come for the first time. Now, what I like to do at this time of year is to tell the story of Persephone emerging from the underworld and Demeter replenishing the earth. Because it is at this time that the earth is replenished. And when we tell this story, if we're in a group, we can act it out. We can assign characters to each person and have them act it out. And it's a lot of fun. But as you can see, we can do it with tarot cards as well. We can simply tell the story and then think about, with the replenishing of the earth, how do I want to be replenished? Where do I need renewal in my life? Where do I need rejuvenation? And it's a beautiful thing, no matter how old we are, no matter how tired we might be, that this is a day, a season, where the energy of renewal and rejuvenation is available to us. We can just breathe it in. We can just focus on it. You can do an elaborate ritual if you want, or you can just focus on this available energy. That is the whole thing with the Wheel of the Year. Whatever the holiday is, that energy is available to us in great abundance. And all you have to do is focus on it and breathe it in. The energy of balance, the energy of renewal, the energy of rejuvenation, the energy of planting a seed to grow something new. As the light grows, so shall the seed sprout. And so we can do this in a very elaborate way, or we can just focus our energy and think about it. We can use a tarot deck to help us. Now, I like to do divination with tarot at Ostara as well, specifically around these themes. Where do I need better balance? How can I find better balance? How can I find rejuvenation, and what does that look like? What seeds do I need to plant? Or if I'm very clear about what seeds I want to plant, what can I do to nurture those seeds? Those are the kinds of questions I like to ask. If you want, you can write out those questions and make a tarot spread. And you don't even need to use a tarot deck. You could use any oracle deck that you enjoy. Or you might ask a question and simply pull a card. Or if you prefer not to do card divination, you might ask those questions and do a meditation and allow Persephone, Demeter, any goddess of springtime and fertility, including Ostara herself, because Ostara is named after a goddess, to bring that energy and give us the information we need at this turn of the wheel. So, we celebrate the lengthening days. We celebrate the returning light. We have been celebrating the returning light since the solstice, haven't we? Since the winter solstice, since Yule. Now the light will finally overtake the dark. The light half of the year begins. And this is a time where we might be more social, where we might be more active. This is a time where we might be more external rather than internal. And so we think about the light half of the year versus the dark half of the year. We are transitioning into the light half of the year. So maybe there are things that you will do in the light half of the year different than in the dark half of the year. So we have talked about ways we might celebrate with a group. We have talked about ways we might celebrate in a more solitary way. We've talked about different kinds of divination that we might do at Ostara. And we recognize that there might be mundane activities that we would do. You might want to literally plant a garden. If you plant your garden on Ostara, that garden is really blessed with this entire energy of growth and renewal. And again, you can put your intentions in the earth with those seeds. We recognize that this is a time of seed planting and that we can do that seed planting metaphorically or literally. So, as we begin our journey with Persephone out of the dark half and into the light half, we welcome within ourselves renewal and rejuvenation. We think about the seeds that we want to plant, what we want to grow in our lives, and how we want to grow. And we think about the ways in which we need balance in our lives, and we work to manifest those things. That is the magic and divination of Ostara. I want to thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I hope that you got some great ideas to celebrate. And there are many more. You can just Google on Ostara and find many different ideas for rituals. You can find whole rituals written out. And again, you can be as formal or informal as you want. And again, you don't need to celebrate exactly on that day. I mean, it's convenient that it's on a Saturday, right, this year? But you don't have to do it at 5:37 a.m. And if it's more convenient to do it on the Sunday or the Friday, that's okay too. You don't have to be at the exact moment, but if you want to do it at the exact moment, there's real power in that as well. And so we recognize with gratitude that as the wheel of the year turns, it brings us opportunity. It brings us power. It brings us energy. And all we have to do is know about it, focus on it, and attune ourselves to that energy to reap its benefits. And the benefits at this turn of the wheel, the benefits at Ostara, the growth of new things, renewal, rejuvenation, and balance. I wish you all of those wonderful things, and I want to thank you so much for sharing this holiday with me.